Hello everyone, another Saturday and another Power Automate video. Today I'd like to talk about trigger variables and a best practice that I have adopted around their usage, basically. Essentially, I have abandoned using trigger variables directly, and I take the trigger variables, put them into a separate dedicated variable, and I reference that instead throughout the rest of my flow. So let me show you why I do that. And so we'll just create a new instant flow. All right, and we're going to add a couple inputs here to simulate some sort of automated trigger, like perhaps when a new email arrives, v3. That trigger's got a bunch of variables that come along with it, like from, and to, and subject. And we'll stop there. Alright, so I've got my trigger with some variables. So what I want to demonstrate is what happens if you use these variables, or what can happen if you use these variables directly. So let's just throw a condition in here. This is obviously going to be a very contrived example, but alright, so if I want, let's say I'm simulating the when a new email arrives trigger. So maybe I care about if it's from someone in particular. Maybe if it's from abc at something.com, I actually care about it and I want to know immediately. So if it is from there, I don't know, maybe I get a notification on my mobile phone. And in here, I can again use this trigger variable. And then we won't do anything on the other branch. Okay. So there's our flow. There's no point in testing this. We know that this would work. So what happened? The reason I don't use these variables directly is that if your trigger ever needs to change, these disappear. So why would this trigger change? A couple of examples. One that has actually happened to me was I was having a flow fail with a trigger error, and contacted Microsoft Premier Support, and as a troubleshooting step, they wanted me to delete my trigger and recreate it. It's like, okay, fine. So I do that. So what happens when you delete a trigger? This step and associated dynamic content will be deleted. Okay. So I go down to my condition. Oh no! All my references to those trigger variables are gone. Fantastic. I get to recreate all this stuff. So that's one example of why you don't want to rely on trigger variables directly. Another that I can think of that has not happened to me, but it's certainly possible, is that, say, Microsoft comes out with, when a new email arrives, version 4, and you want to upgrade your existing flow to this new trigger because maybe it does something amazing. The second you delete that trigger to then put in the new one, again, all of those referenced variables are going to be removed, and you're going to have to go back through your flow and plug them all back in. That is really annoying if you have a flow that does more than this one, maybe with, you could be referencing those dozens of times throughout the flow. So, to save yourself a little bit of work, the way that I do this, and now we're going to have to, oh, I don't want that, do I? So let's redo this. So I've got my new variables put together. So now what I do, for every trigger variable that I care about and want to use, I initialize my own variable. And that's going to be a string, do dynamic content, do from, and actually that's the only one that I need to simulate. So then down here, in the rest of my flow, I reference my variable, not the trigger variable. And I'm not going to waste your time by putting another one in there. So save that. Now, let's say I'm working with Microsoft support again, and they say, hey, JC, delete that trigger and recreate it. Okay, delete my trigger. Now we come down to my condition and we see that my variable references are still there. The only thing that I need to update now is I have to go into my variable that I created and update this value to be a dynamic value, which, all right, let me redo this. And I'll save you guys the pain of having to watch all of that and just do that one. And we come down here, reference my new trigger variable, save it, and we're done. So it's much, much quicker to update your dynamic content in one place than in however many places you may have referenced that in your flow. So that's my best practice regarding flow trigger variables. Don't use them directly. Create your own variable, reference that instead. It saved me a lot of time. Well, hope this helps you and you enjoyed it. Until next time.